In the last episode, we talked a little bit about some of the reasons people leave the church, and you listed those. And one of the viable options, maybe viable is not a good word, but it is an option that people go to, and it's this progressive Christianity, and you've talked in the past about what that is. I guess my question is why is that seemingly a viable option to those who are leaving the church and going to this thing called progressive Christianity?
Well, this was a question I asked myself a lot when I was watching a lot of my friends and people I'd gone to church with go into this movement. And I think that it is particularly appealing to people who have a sociological connection to Jesus, who feel comfort in church. They feel some kind of connection with this idea of Jesus and God. And so what they're getting in the progressive church is the complete opposite of legalism. So it's license to pretty much find your own truth and live however you want, but you can slap the label of Jesus on it. It's going to give them a very, very relativistic approach to the Bible. So they can take the Bible that was once authoritative and viewed as the Word of God and inspired and view it more like a subjective, it's a thing we can look at, and we know what the people who wrote it believed about God in their times and places that they lived, but it's not authoritative for my life. And so it trades one authority for another. You have biblical authority traded for really a more relativistic approach where my feelings, my conscience, my opinions become my authority for what I believe is true in the arena of religion and God. And they find community. You know, we all want that. We all want to walk with people through life, and progressive church does community very well. There aren't really many moral demands. There aren't any beliefs that necessarily unite them. So it's a much broader place to go and feel like you can kind of flourish and explore your doubts. The problem, though, is that it might feel like a safe place to doubt, a safe place to process those things. But ultimately, the progressive church isn't going to give anyone the truth. They're not going to give them the actual cure. I compare it to a cancer patient who goes to the hospital, and the hospital tells them, well, you have cancer, but we love you, we're glad you're here. Here, we'll give you a bed and a blanket, and you can just be comfortable. Whereas when you have cancer, you want to go to the hospital for a bed and a blanket and comfort, but you want the cure, and the gospel is what's the cure, and that's what's missing from the progressive church. And so often people will trade a more legalistic Christianity for a more progressive Christianity, and my concern is that they don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and lose the gospel.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're going from one extreme to another extreme, and your voice is saying, hey, there's a lot of things we can learn about community from the progressive, and there's things we need to keep holding fast to as it relates to doctrine and truth, but we need to make sure we're aware of the warnings that are causing people to just want to flee from the church. Well said, thank you so much.